Welcome everyone to the Side Draft Podcast. This past weekend was throwback weekend for the NASCAR Cup Series and Xfinity Series. But we are throwing back to yesterday when we were talking about Brad Keselowski winning the Xfinity Series. Well, today we're talking about the Cup Series and how Brad Keselowski won that race.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting going back to Darlington and seeing all the throwback schemes. It's real interesting, all the schemes, and learn a little bit about the history of Darlington.
And it's been a while since we saw Keselowski win a race in the Cup Series. But don't worry, he was just a little rusty, but he's back now.
It was real interesting that he hadn't led a lap here at Darlington, and had a win, and here he is and swept the whole weekend. So
if you're going to do it right, win both of them.
Might as well.
So we're here to review the race, how things went. Stage one, to start off the weekend, we'd have Denny Hamlin on the pole. He would lead very early on, but the 42 would eventually catch him around lap 16, lap 17, just blows right by him. But so far, a good race for the Chevys, up until the 88 of Bowman had a tire issue on pit road on lap 30. He would go 2 laps down. Then lap 46 would have green flag pit stops, and the 48 car would pit for a loose wheel, and the 48 would have a commitment line violation 2 laps down. So that's 2 of the Hendrick cars already out.
Yeah, Jimmy's had a pretty eventful day. He got put in the very back for the beginning of the race, and here he is going pit road. He got a loose wheel, and he goes lap down and stuff. So.
Yeah, probably the best run of the season up until that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard getting on to the pit roads. I believe it's really hard for them to judge where the commitment line is and trying to get in. And unfortunately, he had to come back down and serve another penalty.
So the 88 on lap 72 back to pit road, another 2 laps down for the 88 of Bowman.
Yeah, I know he was trying to stay out, for trying to get his lap back, but it just didn't work out.
We had like no cautions really at all in this entire race up until like the last few laps. First few stages went almost caution free.
Yeah. And at the end of that stage, Austin Dillon, he was really fighting, trying to stay on that lead lap, and made a little contact with the leader.
Yeah, just a little bit, not really anything to damage it. There was in the broadcast booth was talking about how Larson was very furious. I didn't really see that out of Larson. Kind of race Dillon the same.
Yeah,
it's hard racing, and Larson even gave a few positions or for some lap cars so they can get their lap back.
Yeah, I believe Austin Dillon raced his way, but William Byron, he ended up getting his lap back, because Larson slowed down a little bit and let him go.
Yeah, Larson said he just wanted to be a nice guy there, so we saw some old school giving some lap backs to some drivers.
Yeah, you see, in racing, you'll see that, and somebody kind of slow down and let somebody get your lap back. Now it's a lot harder to get your lap back, and so he's fighting for every position.
So Larson win the stage. Dillon keeps his lap. 20 car Eric Jones would be in second. He had possibly a better car than Larson, just couldn't ever get into position to run him down truly. But Truex would be in third. Kind of the same situation there. And 22 of Logano and Brad Keselowski in fifth.
Yeah, Brad, he started, about 15th or something like that?
Yeah, somewhere outside of the top 10.
Yeah, he raced his way. I mean, he had a really good car. I believe Larson had the very best car, through the stage. I mean, he just blasted through the field. And I believe there wasn't like maybe 14 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, it's just clean air at this racetrack. It's just phenomenal. But stage 2 would begin, and Eric Jones would have an uncontrolled tire penalty, so that run up through the field right there in second place to pounce on Larson wouldn't be able to continue at least for a few laps there.
Yeah, I believe in this race, there's a lot of pit road mistakes. I mean, I know everybody's trying to hurt and get out, and I guess everybody's nerves at Darlington.
Larson would lead on the restart, but by lap 126, Joey Gase would get punted by Kyle Busch, and as our notes say, he tasted the rainbow.
It's kind of a throwback to Kyle Busch's Skittles paint scheme, going back to Ernie Irvin. So here, Joey, taste the rainbow. See him off sale. I don't know if he just misjudged going up the track or how fast Joey was going, but unfortunate for that team, they ended their day.
Joey Gay said the rainbow tasted a lot like the wall, but the caution would be out. And then we would see our first lead change ever since Larson got the lead. But this would be on pit road. Truex beats Larson off pit road. And that would shake things at least for 30 laps. On the restart, Truex and Harvick just blows by Larson. Larson doesn't seem to have the pace anymore. It was like, what's happening? But Harvick would chase down Truex. And the way that this track is laid out, it's like it's terrible trying to pass someone. Harvick couldn't even get around Truex, even though he was like way faster than him.
Yeah, you may have a faster car and just catch up to the leader or one in front of you, but it's so hard to pass.
And that allowed Larson to save his tires and eventually just blows right by Harvick and Truex.
Yeah, I don't think Larson's car was really good in a pack in the dirty air. His car really liked the clean air.
Yeah, I believe if Truex and Harvick could have somehow sorted out that issue, I think they could have extended their lead at least for a few more laps, but Larson was just on the rails out there. He would just cruise by both. Green flag pit stops again. Larson just stretches it out all the way, but Harvick had a tire issue, but he would still finish that stage in 10th. So Larson manages to just keep running his race. He led over 100 laps at that point. We'll see if he keeps the pace up.
Yeah, I believe a lot of them was trying to save on tires and trying to do some pit strategy. Just trying to save more tires for the end of the race, and I believe it kind of bit Harvick the most.
So stage 3 would begin. Kyle Larson would lead. But then a few laps after that, the 19 car would hit the wall. It gets to pit road, no caution. The 48 car has some oil line issues, and he'd have to go in the garage. His day is done.
Yeah, they just had a very good year this year. They had a lot of troubles and failures, and but once they get some things worked out, I'm sure you'll see the 48 car again.
Possibly the 48 will be like Tony Stewart in 2011. Doesn't really do too well throughout the year, but in the playoffs start, maybe Jimmy will come alive.
Yeah.
So there's always hope for that. The Stewart-Haas cars and Logano, a few others, were trying a 3-stop strategy, while the 42 was going a 2-stop strategy. This is trying to do something different than Larson, maybe catch the caution at the right time. Also, more pit road issues for the 3 and the 88. They had a tire violation, and the 1 had commitment line violation.
Come on, Jimmy Murray, can't you commit?
It seemed like we had more like tire violations than we did commitment line.
Yeah, I ain't sure what the deal with the tires. I mean, I believe it was on the 3 car. He just kind of tried to roll the tire all the way to the wall, and they said you can't do that. So that's unfortunate for that team.
Logano would get the lead after pit stops. He would have like 12 laps weaker tires than Larson, so Larson just cruises right on by again. More green flag pit stops around lap 290. Matt Kenseth would have a commitment line violation as well, while the 43 just misses the pit road.
Yeah, it's really hard to get on this pit road. I mean, you've seen it. A lot of them trying to slow down, and it's so hard to make that turn. And you really can't see the pit road until you right there on it. A lot of them going too fast, and the 43 just oh, I ain't gonna make it, so let me catch another gear and keep on going. So.
I think that was a good move by the 43, catch it just right in time.
Yeah, because if you still go in and you miss it, and you still want to come back in, so I think he saved a lot more time just catch another gear and keep going.
Yeah. And then, speaking of trying to get on pit road, a huge crash between the 41 and 31, or not the 41, the 14 and the 31, 58 to go.
Yeah, I believe Clint Boyer didn't see Ryan Newman's turn signal.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. It's hard to see in these cars and see somebody's waving their hand out and let them know they're going to pit road, and Ryan Newman was going real slow, and Clint Boyer was kind of going too fast, and they collided.
And unfortunate for Dale Earnhardt, he would also get in this crash, the 96, and Jeffrey Earnhardt throwing back to, of course, Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He just run his race and has got a little bit of damage from the 31 sliding up.
So 3 cars on the lead lap after that because pit road cycles and all that stuff. Harvick would be the free pass. We had a lot of weird stuff going on in the pit road. We had a lot of cars taking the free pass, a lot of cars deciding we need tires, so we're just going to battle for the lucky dog free pass. And
there's a lot going on during that one.
A lot of differing strategies, so that was cool to see. We'd see the 42 take the lead, but Brad Keselowski was catching him. That's like the first time that's happened all day.
Yeah, the 42's like, where'd that 2 come from? He's catching me. How's he faster? But then something on the track, they had a debris caution.
Yeah, so that would end Brad Keselowski's drive up to the front, but
he's probably saying, dang it, I almost had him.
Yeah, probably, but the 24 would blow an engine on that caution, and unfortunate for Jeff Gordon.
Yeah.
Throwing back to the Rainbow Warrior paint scheme Gordon had in the 90s.
Yeah, something wrong with his old timers. But
it's been a while since we said Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon are both out of the race.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for the Rainbow car, and I ain't sure what happened with Hendrick right here. It's like you got the old line with Jimmy's car and 24 blows. I mean, I'm not sure what's happening there.
Then caution again, lap 345, the 96 spins. Before that caution, we saw Larson actually pulling away from Keselowski. Looked like it would be a done deal, but then would have that caution. With 20 to go, Brad Keselowski's pit crew won him the race and got him the lead off pit lane.
Yeah, that was pretty incredible. It was like a 3-way battle to the line in between Brad Keselowski and Kyle Larson and Joey Logano. But the number 2 car got out first.
Yeah, and that could have been...
And that was the move of the race.
Yeah, that could have been... very terrible for the 22 and the 42, possibly the 2 if Joey would have collided with the 42. Almost, though, took a lot of skill to miss him there.
Yeah, these are real professional drivers, and they really know how to squeeze through there on the pit road.
I don't know, if Brad's pit crew just did a phenomenal job or the 42 just lost something there. I'm not really sure. Would have to go back and look at the pit stops there, but
yeah, it's really hard to count out the 2 team, and they really seem to shine when it counts.
And Brad Keselowski would just cruise on to a win. Larson would fall back to 3rd. Teammate Joey Logano would finish 2nd, and we'd have a Penske 1-2 throwing back to Penske beating Chip Ganassi in the Southern 500.
And this hadn't happened since 1975?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time not to have a win at that track, and it was really good for
a true throwback, though.
Yeah, they really threw it back to 1975.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome for Roger Penske and his team, and just for him to go back to victory lane.
And yeah, Brad Keselowski getting it done. He's already clinched the playoff spot, but he just wanted 5 extra playoff points there, so that'll help him as soon as the playoffs start.
I mean, he's probably thinking all year, man, how am I going to get a win this year? You know, they've really been close, and they've tried hard, and to come to a track they hadn't ever won before, and you know, and to do that, and especially in the Rusty Wallace car, and I bet he was really hollering up there in the MRN booth and said, come on.
He wasn't. He was doing that in his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that when Brad pulled up in victory lane, I thought Rusty was going to come out of the car. That would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been pretty awesome.
Wait, this isn't the 1990s? What am I doing here? But here's how our picks did. My pick was Kevin Harvick, P4. Pretty decent day. The top finisher of the big three. Your pick was Chase Elliott in P5. Best Hendrick car overall. Pretty much all year, really. Chase is really gaining there, and I think he might possibly make a run for the Final Four in these playoffs.
Yeah, he's really showing some strength right now. I mean, he's always a top running Hendrick car, and I ain't sure what they're really doing different than the other ones are. I mean, really all of them ran, you know, William Byron, he ran real strong through the race until his engine gave away. But, yeah, I think Chase is going to be pretty strong in this playoff.
So next week in the Brickyard of 400, it's going to be really exciting. Last year we had Casey Kane win that race. So this might be interesting for the playoffs, because if we have another theoretical Casey Kane, could even be Casey Kane again. So if we had another driver like that, the 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson will not make the playoffs.
Wow, that'd be really incredible. It's just not see the 48 in the play going for the playoffs.
Yeah, that would be really shocking to see. But I don't think that will happen. I think it's going to be like a big three dominated race. If we do see that, it's going to be some pit strategy. You remember like Paul Menard, how he won the Brickyard, beating Jeff Gordon on fuel mileage.
It's possible. I mean, anything can happen. Really, anybody can really win these races due to strategy or however they do it. It's because to beat the top three, you really got to have some kind of strategy out there and really shine when it needs to. Yeah,
I think Indianapolis is a race where we're going to see the big three shine just on pure speed. You know, Darlington was, like Brad Keselowski said, it's an anomaly there. Bristol was kind of a anomaly as well, you know, short tracks. So we'll get to see how some of those other guys play out at Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. So who is your pick to take home the trophy in the final race before the playoffs?
Well, I may just go this week. Which one's the top three? I believe I will go with the number 18 of Kyle Busch. I believe he's going to get another victory. Yeah,
we saw him win the race 2 years in a row, almost 3, but Truex took him out there. But speaking of Truex, that's my pick for the week. I think Truex is, you know, he's, I don't want to say the weakest link in the big three, but Harvick and Busch have just been on rails, and I think he wants to finally show him up once again. So I'm going to pick the 78 of Truex. Doesn't know if he'll have a job in NASCAR next year, so you know, he might be wanting to win the Brickyard. You know, it's not likely his last season, but there's a small chance. But we'll look at the playoff standings. In the regular season, we have Kevin Harvick, who is 39 points behind Kyle Busch for the regular season champion. Kyle's going to likely need to have some sort of issue for Harvick to win it, so we'll see if they will battle it out for the regular season championship. 15 extra playoff points.
Yeah, it's going to be close race. I mean, it's going to be a race within a race. I mean, Kevin Hart, he tries to maximize points, trying to win stages. So never can count Kevin out.
But with the playoff grid and all that stuff, the only way anyone can get above the cutoff line would be if, like I said, if one of those like Stenhouse, Newman, Menard, Suarez, Byron, someone like that would win the race, then that would cut out Jimmy Johnson. So it's not likely that will happen, but there's always a chance.
Yeah, Bowman, he's just right there at the cutoff line, so it's really anybody's game right back there.
Yeah, so we'll see how that unfolds next week at the Brickyard, and we'll see who gets to kiss the bricks. We'll see you then.